That was the first rated R film I saw in the theater. I was so lucky. I had friends and their mom came with us and she bought us all the tickets and took us all in. She got us sat down and then she was like, okay, I'm bouncing, I'm leaving. Y'all have fun. I'm so grateful for her. But yes, I did sneak into a lot of rated R movies. A lot. My name's Joseph Manzanedo. I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, but I now live in Los Angeles, California. I am a production and casting assistant. God, growing up in Tucson, it's so funny because I born and raised there for about 23 years of my life. And you know, when you're young, you think everything's just so big, right? Like I always thought Tucson was so big. And then I started getting older and I really felt how much smaller it got as I got older. And then moving to LA was just like brand new world. I know it's a matter of circumstance, but if you are able to move away from where you grew up, I think everyone should absolutely try it. It just completely changes you as a person. Grew up loving film, TV. I went to the University of Arizona for film and television, graduated, came out here. It was a slow start moving out here, of course. You got to find your footing. You live in LA, you have to have 3 different side jobs while you're trying to chase that production. But it really all came down to just the people I met in school, kept in contact with them. They'd get on a production, reach out to me, I'd hop on the production. And yeah, it's been a couple years. I worked on 2 really big feature films, worked with Netflix. I worked on a Jerry Seinfeld project called Frosted, which was really funny. The biggest one was Oppenheimer. I got to work on a Christopher Nolan project. I've done a Fox television show, 911 Lone Star. Starting next week, I'll be doing casting assistance for a reality competition game show that's on Amazon Prime. There's a lot more horror, of course, I'd love to do. Just this last year, I had the honor of co-producing a short slasher film called Nails, written and directed by a really great artist. His name's William Lott, and I met him working on 911 Lone Star. So that's really what this whole industry is, what people keep telling you. It's just meeting people and then meeting people who share the same interests as you. It had its LA premiere just this past year in October for the Scream Fest at the TLC Chinese Theater. It got into the Northwest Fear Fest for Canada and the Brooklyn Horror Film Fest. Pretty exciting last year for that film. I'm a very behind the scenes person. I love being on set. I love seeing the start of a project. It's like really exciting when you can latch onto a project and like just give that freedom to the person who wrote and directed and just be like, hey, I'm just here for support. You'd come to me, ask certain things. What do you think of this, that? Which is always so much fun, you know? You feel like you're part of it, the creation of it, yeah. I feel so lucky to kind of experienced it on such different scales. I had this like huge award-winning scale and then a lower independent scale. No matter the scale, it's still the same process. You got to treat it all the same. Everyone goes into it with just this like verve and excitement, and no matter what you're making, you got to believe in it. So sure, you could be making, you know, Oppenheimer, or you could be making a smaller slasher. It's fun because you're still going into it with that same mentality of like, I believe in this, I'm excited about it, and we're making the best thing we can make. There's summers as a kid just on my laptop searching for movies and just finding everything and anything and just consuming it and just really refining my taste in especially horror. I mean, I can't condone it, but there's a lot of horror that's obscure, that's hard to find, and I would just be scouring the internet for anything and everything I could find. Just dig. And that's how you find what you love, and you find your own personality too. I'm a huge French Extremity fan, and maybe I was a little too young when I was first trying to get into them. A lot of that was a little harder to find at those early years for me. Stuff like Inside and High Tension. I was in like 8th grade, just starting high school, finding those to watch and just being absolutely blown away by the carnage that was on screen. There's a really great theater out here in Los Angeles. It's called Brain Dead Studios. Within the last year, I got to see Martyrs there. So I got to see Martyrs for the first time in the theater. That's such a game changer for a lot of people. You see that movie, and it really rewrites what you think a movie in general is and can be. There's no inhibitions. The French are really there to show you how horrific this is. And something like Inside is really special and interesting to me because it's also reflective of what's going on in the country at the time. I mean, the whole backdrop of Inside is during these riots. They're constantly commenting on the riots that are happening just outside, and then really the horror is happening just inside her home. What's happening outside seeping in. There's no shyness. They don't steer away from how brutal it can get. It doesn't feel over the top either, at least for me. I feel like I genuinely feel the weight of all of that violence when I'm watching it, which I know is not everyone's forte. It's visceral. I think that's one of my favorite aspects of horror, just that very visceral reaction. It's a genre that invites that and wants that. The Ugly Stepsister. I mean, just a great movie, but I really zoned in on the sympathy you feel for that character. I mean, she's going through these insane body image issues and just this like anxiety of being pretty, of being the one to be selected by a prince, all this stuff, but zoning in on that anxiety she's feeling, which is such an internal thing. And then, oh my God, you add this tapeworm into it, which actually makes this internal anxiety a real thing that's eating away at her. Squirmy and funny, but not in a way where the humor is like undercutting it at all. You're just like in total disbelief at what you're watching. That's my favorite. That's my favorite type of horror. Horror is one of the genres, I think, where people automatically go in with a wall. I know a lot of people who go in and are like, okay, I am not going to let this scare me. This isn't going to be scary. I'm not scared. And there's a resistance. And when a movie is able to just demolish that wall right in front of you, and you just kind of like give over to it, let yourself be freaked out. Another one of my favorites, with also some really intense moments that made me squirm. That knife scene, again, just a visceral recoil. It's so much fun. It's horrific. It's horrific. It's exactly what I look for and love in horror. That shock is just so sudden. You have nothing to do but feel it with your entire body. Anything with the mouth really gets me. And then anything from the knee below. So like the knee, leg, heel, feet, that really gets me. Everything. Clearly, I'm a massive Buffy fan. I don't think I've ever latched onto characters that quickly. As a horror fan, it ticks all the boxes, of course. It also gives you some just great romance, too, of course. I mean, I'm a Buffy Angel fan for life. I think what's so great about Buffy is that, I mean, I rewatch it pretty much every year. You grow with it. Those characters grow, and I feel like I grow with it, too. It somehow always hits at the right time for different stages in my life. Not probably, it is my favorite television series of all time. I'm just a slasher fan in general, to be honest. I love Jason. There's something about Jason that was the series to me that really just perfected that slasher formula. Of course, you have a lot of great movies that preceded it, like Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, Psycho, laid the blueprint. But to me, whenever I watch Friday the 13th, I'm like, this is exactly those stereotypes that people pull from the genre. They're all coming from Friday the 13th. That series literally just was like, this is it. We're running with it. They sprinted with it. I think it's so funny. It's such a fun franchise. Chucky is one of my favorite franchises for a lot of reasons. But the biggest reason being because it's so clear that I love that Don Mancini has had a hand in every single film, the television series. Bride of Chucky is just absolutely one of my favorites. I love Jennifer Tilly. Both Don Mancini and Jennifer Tilly have been sprinkling these things about it's not ended. Maybe we'll get some more movies. I don't know. But yeah, Chucky's not dead. My father was obsessed with all the Godzilla movies. He really passed that down to me. I love Godzilla, King of the Monsters for a reason. I'm a huge Mothra fan. I grew up watching Jurassic Park religiously. I had a VHS of that. I would carry it everywhere with me. I'd watch it pretty much every day. To me, although, dinosaurs, real life, but to me, they were monsters. Those sequences when they're in the kitchen, the car, when the T-Rex is coming out, those are such monster suspense scenes. Those are horror. That's horror to me. I'm also like a huge Creature from the Black Lagoon fan. I think that's my favorite Universal monster film. I grew up also loving Anaconda, the original 90s film with J-Lo. These massive creatures attacking people and causing chaos. It's my favorite. I still love it to this day. The best ones are the ones where you're actively rooting for the animal. You disturbed their environment and their habitat. Watch them wreak havoc on you. I never feel sorry for the humans. And I think that's part of the fun, right? A lot of them share so much in common with the slasher genre, kind of having these people be picked off one by one. My favorite is you're taking just an animal, just looks completely the same, and just blowing it up. Just make it big. And that's what's so fun, because it's you realize we're lucky. If an ant was as tall as a skyscraper, we're done for. That was the first rated R film I saw in the theater. I was so lucky. I had friends and their mom came with us and she bought us all the tickets and took us all in. She got us sat down and then she was like, okay, I'm bouncing, I'm leaving, y'all have fun. I'm so grateful for her. But yes, I did sneak into a lot of rated R movies. A lot. I remember sneaking into that first Paranormal Activity movie. That was a whole moment. It was so packed. Me and my friend who snuck in, we just had to sit on the stairs. Going to the Evil Dead remake. That was so cool. I remember sneaking into a midnight showing of it. That's one of my favorite movies to come out ever. I make a joke, but it's also kind of true when I say that I love that movie more than I love myself. I just think it's such an important movie in American cinema, in horror cinema. There's so many angles to look at it, but at just the base level, I really do think it's one of the most horrifying things ever put to screen. It's just such a primal type of horror. I sit there and I watch Sally being chased, and I feel that adrenaline in me every time I watch it. It's just so good. The impact never lessens for me. Every time I'm watching it, I'm just reminded of the importance of that very independent type of filmmaking, low budget, what you can achieve with so little. I think even after we're long gone, that's going to be something that's still hailed as one of the most important films ever. You have to have that inherent creativity, that inherent strive to problem solve. You're going to see that like no other on any film set. Budget constraints really make or break people. And like I said, that scale, no matter if you're working on $10 million film or just a couple $1,000 film, it's the same exact skills that are being put to use. Something's not working out the right way, or, okay, I don't have the budget for this fancy lighting. What are we going to do? And I always think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for that. There's a very specific scene where it's just Sally and her brother Franklin, and the only thing lighting the scene is the headlights from the van. And it's like a very smart and budget-friendly way to light that scene. And it works. Everything is so pitch black, and the only thing you can focus on is that little tiny spot where those headlights are, where they're standing. It works. Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, small, independent, very smart movies. And look at them now. I mean, the blueprint for horror as we know it. Robbie Banfitch directed a couple years ago a found footage horror film I'm obsessed with called The Outwaters. I love that movie. And then just this past year, 2025, he released a new film called Tinsman Road, which I got to see as well. Also loved the hell out of it. I think he is one of the best. I think he's a great filmmaker, and he taps into fear and anxiety in a really visceral way. I want to shout out another independent director. Their name is Johnny Kilberg. And just this past year, they shot their first feature film. Should hopefully debut this year, 2026. Another one, The Plague, is a debut feature. we want to talk about anxiety, that movie was also a visceral experience for me. Just really drops you into that. For a lot of us, that horrible time when you're a preteen boy having to grow up with all the other really mean preteen boys. Yeah, there's so many people who can connect with that. And that movie, I think, is a really special movie that came out this past year. Definitely check that out. I really found a great group of people there. It opens your eyes, again, when we talk about at the beginning of all of this, traveling, moving away, getting out of your bubbles. I mean, social media is a great tool for that. By learning about everyone else, you learn about yourself, of course. It's just a reflection, finding people who share the same interests as you. Horror is so great because it's such a broad term, right? It's such a broad genre, and you can follow a million different paths that branch off into all these other things, and you're always going to find someone who shares that same path as you, which is really cool. I want to finally work on a big horror set. As much as I love working on these independent sets, and I always will, I see that forever happening. I want to get onto like a big production horror. I'm ready for it. I've been waiting. Yeah, that's in my future. I just want to work on more horror. It really helped me become less scared of everything. I grew up scared of everything as a child. I would go to like Hollywood Video and I would see some of the covers, and those would give me nightmares. Like, I always think of the Hannibal cover with Hannibal in his eye. That used to give me nightmares. And the Nightmare on Elm Street one where Freddy's like over Nancy and his eyes are, that used to scare the shit out of me. And I couldn't watch horror growing up. I was so scared of it all. And then, I don't know, it just clicked. It helped me be like, wait, this is something I can focus fear and anxiety into. And then I'm not so scared about everything else in life. Horror creates those avenues. I've seen it since the moment I started falling in love with it. I think that's why so many of us latch onto it, right? We can identify with the othering. We identify with the outcast. You start out fearing the monster, the killer, whatever, and you overcome it to become the stronger version of yourself. A lot of the times you're taking on aspects of the killer or the monster. Look at the final girl has to actually take on a killer role to overcome the killer. So like, yeah, you got to take on aspects of your fear to overcome the fear. I think that's what horror can teach us.